One more big round of applause for Ted Cruz. You have just heard a passionate plea for why this election is so important. I want to make a mathematical case for why this election is so important. In the United States Senate, 51 votes is a majority. 49 votes equals 0. We've had 45 votes for the last 2 years in the United States Senate, and everything the Democrats have rejected that Ted talked about has happened because they had 55 votes. The way you get to 51 votes is you hold the seat in Georgia that's already Republican, and then you build on it. There are 3 weeks. I could make a long speech and introduction to David Perdue, but I'm not going to. This is his show, it's not mine. But I have a selfish interest in this race because I sit side by side with whoever the next United States Senator is going to be. And for the last 10 years, I've sat with a great one in Saxby-Chambliss, and I don't want to change. I want a conservative vote. I want a thoughtful vote. I want a passionate vote. I want an American vote for Georgia. That's what I want. There are 3 reasons why you need to vote for David Perdue. One of them's in the audience with us tonight. Bonnie, would you stand up? This is a great lady. Politics is a team sport. You can't do what David wants to do and what I do without the support of your spouse, without the love of your family, without commitment for a lifetime of marriage to the same person, and David and Bonnie Perdue are just that. She is a great campaigner. She is a great Georgian. God bless you for what you're doing for your husband. And the second reason is I'm one of the 5 United States Senators that actually ever owned and ran a business. 95 never did. I want a 6th one to come to the Congress with my business. You know, most of the members of the United States Senate have only signed the back of paychecks. They've never signed the front of one. I've borrowed payroll on a Thursday to make it on Friday. I've signed the back of notes when I had to do it to keep the doors open. I know what the rewards of business are, but I know what the risks of business are. And business is what America is all about, and we need a businessman and a passionate businessman and a successful businessman in the United States Senate, and that's why David Perdue is so important. Now lastly, we live in the greatest country on the face of this earth. You don't find anybody trying to break out of the United States of America. They're all trying to break in, and for a very good reason. We're for all those things David talked about, and for all those things Ted talked about. Liberty, security, and peace. But they don't come without a price, and the price is your vote, and the vote of your 9 best friends that Ted talked about. Every day between now and Election Day, you have an obligation to go over and put your arm on the fence between you and your neighbor and say, look, don't pay any attention to all those commercials you've seen on TV. Don't even look at all the signs. Go vote for your children and your grandchildren. Vote for your country's future. Vote for a man that I know will be a great United States Senator. Vote for David Perdue. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and my privilege. It is my honor and my privilege to introduce to you a man who will be your next United States Senator with your vote, David Perdue.
Absolutely critical race. We have got to get Governor Deal elected. We've got to get all our constitutional officers elected. But I have to tell you, this is a critical race for another reason. We have to get the Senate. Let me give you some of the side benefits of getting the United States Senate in a majority on the Republican side. Do you know who will be chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee? Johnny Isakson, right there. You think he'll clean this pool up? I do. You know who will be head of the Senate Armed Services Committee? John McCain. Ladies and gentlemen, we are blessed today to have Senator Ted Cruz here. A real patron. He, Johnny Isakson, Saxby-Chambliss, these are patriots. They love our country, just like you love our country, just like Bonnie and I love our country. I've never been in politics, as most of you know. Never done this. Never thought I would ever dream of doing this. But we got convicted. We all know we have a mess in Washington, right? Yeah. You know, whose fault is it? It's ours. In 2012, had we all voted, now I know most people in this room voted, I get that. But I say we, conservative, Georgia, Republican voters, didn't vote. Now Romney won Georgia, but across this country, collectively, we didn't turn out to vote in 2012, or we'd have President Romney right now and not President Obama, and think where we would be. We cannot let that happen this time. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a full-blown crisis right now. 70% of Americans believe like we do that we're headed down the wrong road, the wrong direction. And it's no wonder. However you measure this presidency, he's failing. Is it any wonder? Is it any wonder? He had no training, no experience, a community organizer, but he sold us a bill of goods. What did he tell us? He said, I'm going to bring America together. Who can argue with that? I'm going to work in a bipartisan way with Republicans. Who can argue with that? I'm going to cut the debt in half. That's something we all knew we had to do, right? What did he do? He's been the most divisive president in our history. He slammed the door in the face of Republicans and crammed Obamacare and Dodd-Frank down our throats. And oh, by the way, he's on track to more than double our debt, y'all, in 8 years.
But he did make Carter look good.
You got any more of those? Come on up. In all seriousness, though, guys, this is a failed presidency. However you want to measure. He sold us a bill of goods. He wasn't qualified, and here we are. Foreign policy, immigration, health care, education, the debt, the economy. I can go all day, guys. This is a failed presidency. I can't find an area where he's succeeding. And yet he blames his failure. Where does he blame his failure? Who does he blame? Republicans in Congress. He says, oh, those guys are obstructionists. You hear that? Obstructionists. They're gridlocking America. They're gridlocking Washington. Well, what's the truth? I would say that our government's working in the House of Representatives. They passed over 300 bills. Thank you. There are 300 bills sitting on Harry Reid's desk today, waiting to debate in the United States Senate. You know who controls that? Harry Reid. There's only one person in this country responsible for gridlock, and that's Harry Reid. That's Harry Reid. That's Harry Reid. I want to make sure, because you're not going to read it in the press. You're not going to hear it on the radio. You're going to hear it on probably one channel on TV, maybe. We need to tell our friends. The truth will set you free. The problem is, guys, we know the truth, and it's not setting us free yet because we're not telling enough people. That's reality. Look, we're on the right side of the issues. Gary Black's running for Commissioner of Agriculture, one of the great guys in our lineup. And he says it right. We're on the right side of these issues. So why is this race tight? Because they spend millions of dollars. There are half a dozen billionaires who poured over $100 million in these Senate races to try to come to Georgia, as an example, and steal this race from you and me. And we're not going to let it happen. I'm in a fight. I'm in a fight because of these stories that I'm hearing around this state, y'all. I was right here in Cherokee County in a small manufacturing company where I was given the endorsement of the National Federation of Independent Business People. These are the backbone of small business operators who hire people, create jobs. This man had 14 employees. 14. He was going to have to fire one employee because of his costs for Obamacare were going up so much that he was about to go out of business. I'm not exaggerating. This happened 2 weeks ago right here in Woodstock. And he said, David, I got to tell you the story. He said, I was in tears. I told my people, I know their families. I was going to have to pick one of them and let them go. He said, I had made a decision. And one day, and I was praying about it, he said, one day, all 14 came to him and said, please don't fire one of us. We'll all take a pay cut. Now, y'all, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen anywhere but America. It doesn't happen anywhere but America. Just the other night, and I got to tell you, this is the way it works. That's why Bonnie and I got in here, y'all. We can make a difference. We really can. Johnny said it right. There are only 5 people who have ever run a business in the United States Senate. I'm sorry, but we need more people to drive the conversation, to put people to work. We deserve better than this. I mean, this reminds me of the 70s. Ted mentioned the 70s. He's right. We have fewer people working today than any time since the 70s and Jimmy Carter. I mean, middle-class incomes are dropping dramatically. And more than anything else, we pushed 4 million women into poverty in the last 6 years under these failed policies of this administration following his misguided leadership. Worst of all, maybe is this, is they're perpetuating the lie that this economic boom is happening, it's moving. Look at all the jobs we're creating, right? Part-time jobs, somebody said it. The majority of jobs being created right now are part-time jobs. That's not in our future. That's partly because Obamacare is causing over 2/3 of our companies to stop hiring or cut back hiring, just like that store here in Woodstock. A man stopped me in the hall the other day after a Rotary meeting. And I was standing out there shaking hands. He walked up and he honestly had tears in his eyes. And he said, "David," he said, "can I tell you my story?" I said, "Please." He said, "Look, I'm just a working guy. I got 2 teenagers. I'm trying to save for college. I'm over my head. I don't make a lot of money, but we're working hard. My wife and I have been married for 22 years. He said, "We had our insurance canceled." Now, Bonnie and I had our insurance canceled last year. I told you my story. But this guy the other day said basically the same thing. He said, "I had to go to Obamacare. I got my new premium. I got my new coverage. It's not the coverage I want. It's not the doctor I want. And my rate went from $648 to $1,294. Now, y'all, that's $600 that this guy doesn't have. He says, "God, hey, David, I got more money going out than I got coming in. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I have to insure us because one of my daughters has a situation. He has to have insurance." Ladies and gentlemen, people are hurting here in this state. I don't have to go to Washington to see the damage that Washington is doing on our state. Michelle Nunn wants to be Barack Obama's senator. I want to be your senator. Complain about the Democrats. You know, between 2000 and 2006, when Republicans had the White House, the Senate, and the House, where was our health care reform bill? Where was our energy reform? With all due respect, I mean, we opened the door for the other side to cram these things down our throat. Now it's time. Now we've learned. Look, we all make mistakes, right? I'm a business guy. You know, somebody said to me the other day, he said, "David, these Democrats keep pounding on you. Your own mother might not vote for you." You know? But the idea here is that there's a better way. We deserve a better way. We can't just complain about the other side. We have to offer up solutions. Ted Cruz has a 10-point plan for America. If you haven't seen it, get online. Go to his website and look at it. You may not agree with every one of them, but you know what? They're at least an idea to take us into a debate, to take this country forward and get out of this gridlock. We've forgotten in the Republican Party. Let me remind you, our founders had it right. The First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Bill of Rights. But they had 4 principles, as I can see, in this whole exercise that created this miracle that blessed you and me to the point where right now in the last 60 years, you and I have lived in the economic boom of mankind's history. And here we are watching, looking over the edge. You know we are. Looking over the edge saying, how far down are we going to go? You know what? I remember the 70s. We were looking over the same precipice. And one man stood up with God's leadership and turned this country and gave us what? Hope. Well, here's where the hope is. It's not that hard. We have the largest economy in the world. We got the best workers in the world. We're innovators. We're the innovators of the world. We have the best capital formation in the world. We have the rule of law. If we can get control of our federal courts again and the judgeships after this guy gets through that. There's a way out of here. This debt is killing us. Everybody that comes up here talks about how bad it is. I've been talking about it for a year. This $18 trillion is unconscionable. But what they're not talking about are all the unfunded liabilities still coming at us. We've got to deal with it over a long period of time. But if we told the world that we were going to tighten our belts and solve this debt crisis over the next 30 years, imagine what the world's economy would do. Imagine. Imagine what we could do with our military if we got this economy going. Imagine if we didn't have this kind of debt and interest holding us back from supporting our military. I'm very concerned about our foreign policy, but I'm very hopeful because we can have a strong defense. Look what we did in the 80s after the debt. We decimated our military complex in the 70s. We brought it back in the 80s. We decimated it again in the 90s. We brought it back in the 2000s. And here we are decimating it again 3 times in my lifetime. When are we going to learn? Here's the hope. There are 4 founding principles that our guys had in mind. Our founding mothers and founding fathers got it right. Economic opportunity, fiscal responsibility, limited government, individual liberty. We've taken it for granted, and it's your job and my job to step up, step out, and step forward and make a change. We've got to change the direction of this country. Look, if we don't have hope, imagine how dark the world's going to be. We're the energy of this world, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how we got here, but we're here. And we need to lead. We need leadership in the White House. We need leadership in the Senate. We need leadership in the House. But ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you, if we can put the world on my iPhone and your iPhone, why can't we educate our kids? If we can put a man on the moon in 10 years, why can't we solve this debt crisis? And if we can bring down the Soviet Union with the strength of our economy and the power of our ideas, why can't we get America working again? Well, of course we can, but not by following these misguided, failed policies of Barack Obama, and that's all you're going to get with Michelle Nunn. The president is laying on a silver platter for us, guys. If we don't turn the vote out now, it's nobody's fault but ours. This president's arrogance, his arrogance, came down to Georgia last week and said, hey, my policies are indeed on the ballot in these Senate races, including Georgia. And this week, that wasn't good enough. He got on an Atlanta radio station and said, hey, Georgians, you need to elect Michelle Nunn so she can come up here and help me continue the good work that I'm doing. I don't know how more clear you can make it. She got on me in a debate in Perry and said, hey, David, you're not running against the president, you're running against me. Why are you fussing about the president? I said, whoa, you're dead wrong. Of course I'm running against the president. You're nothing but a rubber stamp for this guy. The decision in this race is really simple, ladies and gentlemen. If you like what's going on in Washington, you like the direction of this president, you like the dysfunction of Washington, you like the hurt that it's causing families, real families here in Georgia, then vote for Michelle Nunn. She's not going to change a thing, and that direction will continue. But if you're as outraged as I am about the size and scope and intrusiveness of this government, about the failed policies and arrogance of this White House, and about the amount of debt they're piling up on our kids and grandkids, then stand with me. Let's get this vote out. And let's send a message to the rest of the country. Don't come down here to Georgia and try to steal this race and perpetuate this liberal, leftist, progressive movement here in Georgia. It's not going to work. Help me turn this country in the right direction. With Senator Isakson being the leader from Georgia, help us turn this direction back toward the Founding Fathers' principles. With your help and God's willingness and my effort, Bonnie and I are going to do everything we can to make sure Harry Reid does not get one more vote in this United States Senate. God bless you.